Hello guys, it's Katie and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the different yarn weights as well as how to read the weight of the yarn off of the yarn package. So if you guys are interested in seeing more craft, crochet, or business videos from me, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the post notification bell. That way you know every single time I upload a brand new video. And with that, let's just get straight into this. So first thing I want to say is I will be using an article for this. So I am linking that article in the description box down below for you guys. And second, the yarn examples that I use in this video, I will also link in the description box if you're interested in buying and using this yarn. Now I'm going to show you exactly on the package where you want to look for the yarn weight and then explain to you what that means. So I have moved the camera down this way so you can see. As you can tell, this is a Mainstays 100% cotton yarn. So Mainstays is Walmart's brand, so that's where this is from. If you flip just a little bit on this particular package, you can see right here some more information. Okay, so as you can tell, hopefully you can tell on camera, it says medium 4 right here on the package. That is the weight of the yarn. There's also other information included, like how many yards and ounces the ball of yarn is. Also the knitting needle and crochet hook size that this yarn suggests. All of that is included in this same little area, and most of the packages for yarn look pretty similar when it comes to this area. You can normally find the weight, the knitting and crochet sizes kind of all right here in a row. They are a little bit different on each ball of yarn, so I'll show you a couple more just as an example. So again, this is Walmart's brand of yarn. This is a Premier yarn, and as you can tell, theirs is pretty similar with everything in a line right here. And this one is number 5 bulky. Then you have the knitting needle and the crochet hook size that are suggested. So again, pretty similar for this yarn. This is a Yarn Bee yarn. And these are the main ones that I find look kind of different from other yarns. As you can tell, they have the knitting needle and the crochet hook size suggestions right here. And then they have a little tiny picture of a ball of yarn that says for medium. So that is your yarn weight right there. So first off, you may be asking yourself what yarn weight is. So the weight of a particular yarn is just the thickness, basically. So as I showed you, this Mainstays cotton and the Yarn Bee Sugar Swirl were both for medium. So that kind of looks like this. It's not very thick, but also not thin. So it makes sense that it is a medium size. And now for this Premier yarn, it is a number 5. Which is considered bulky. So here's a close-up of this one, and it is a little bit thicker than the previous yarn, but not too much more, so that's why it's only number 5 as opposed to number 4. Now these two obviously aren't very different in yarn weight because one's 4 and one's 5. So let's talk about one that is much thicker. This is another Yarn Bee, and this is the Eternal Bliss yarn. So you can tell this is much thicker yarn, and this one is considered 7 jumbo. So this is much thicker in comparison to our number 5 and number 4. Just by looking at them, pretty much you can tell the difference because one is much thicker than the other. That's the basis of what yarn weight is. So now I'm going to go through all of the numbers of yarn weights that you can have, and then if I don't have an example to show you in person, I will pop up a picture on the screen of an example of that yarn weight just so you can get an idea of how thin some of them can be and how thick some of them can be. So yarn weight 0 is considered lace. So So this is something that's really, really thin. In my mind, something that you may use to make like doilies and that type of stuff, something that is really miniature, almost something that's really small, is probably what you would use a yarn like that for. And do keep in mind that you can use all of these yarn weights for any type of project. For example, there's plenty of people that make stuffed animals with your kind of like medium average sized yarn, and they kind of look something like this when they do that. And then there's plenty of people that also use super chunky yarn or bulky yarn to make those same stuffed animals, and they look sort of like this. So you can use these yarns for any sort of project, so don't let what I'm saying deter you from using it for a project. I'm just saying, in my mind, when I picture these yarns, what they're kind of used for. Anyway, continuing. Number 1 is considered super fine. So this might be something you use for like socks or baby clothing, something like that. Number 2 is considered fine, which again you may use for like baby clothing. Number 3 is considered light, and this is a lot of DK and worsted yarns. Number 4 is considered medium. Just like the mainstays cotton that I showed you, this is a number 4. And this size is worsted yarn as well as like Afghans sometimes. Number 5 is bulky, which again I showed you this as an example, and that is for kind of more chunkier projects, so you may use it for a rug, or I personally like really chunky blankets, stuff like that. Number 6 is super bulky. So this Yarnspirations Burnette blanket yarn is an example of a number 6, super bulky. So as you can tell, it has blanket in the name, so it's obviously meant for you to make blankets, but I've seen plenty of people use this same yarn for stuffed animals. So again, all types of yarn are very versatile. It mainly just depends on how large you want the project to be, on what yarn size you want to choose. And yarn type number 7 is your jumbo yarn, which again I showed this Yarn Bee Eternal Bliss as an example of jumbo yarn. And again, blankets, that type of thing, honestly whatever you want to make with it is perfectly fine, but I just picture a blanket with a yarn this thick, and especially the really soft ones like that, I picture blankets. So I did want to mention this, and I completely forgot when I was giving you each weight number, so I'm just going to go along in order again and do it now. But I will be sharing the crochet hook size and the yarn needle size that is recommended for each weight of yarn now. So for weight 0, for knitting needles, they recommend a 0, 0, 0. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with knitting terms, so that may be called like a 000 or something, and I wouldn't really know. But anyway, that a 000 to a 1 size for knitting needles for your 0 weight. And for a crochet hook, this would be about 2.25 millimeter size hook, or anything under, of course. So for size number 1, for knitting needles, that would be a range of size 1 to 3. And for crochet hooks, that would be a range of 2.25 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter. For number 2 weighted yarn, that would be a size 3 to 5 knitting needle. And for crochet hook, that would be 3.5 to 4.5 millimeter. For number 3, this would be size 5 to 7 knitting needles and 4.5 to 5.5 millimeter crochet hooks. For number 4 weight of yarn, this would be size 7 to 9 in knitting needles and size 5.5 to 6.5 millimeter of crochet hooks. For bulky yarn, this would be 9 to 11 size in knitting needles and 6.5 to 9 millimeters in crochet hooks. For number 6 weight of yarn, this would be sizes 11 to 17 in knitting needles and 9 to 15 millimeters in crochet hooks. And finally, for the jumbo weight number 7 for knitting needles, this would be sizes 17 and up. And for crochet hooks, this would be 15 millimeters and up. So I would just recommend, when you're looking at a yarn, to go based off of the crochet hook or knitting needle size that they suggest on the package. And you can see that this one suggests 5 millimeters for crochet hook and 5 for knitting needles. So in my mind, you can go like one up or one down from the size that it says on the package. So since that one says 5, the smallest size I would use for it is 4, and the largest size I would use for it would be 6. That is the easiest way to figure it out, instead of going based off of the weight and having to look up the suggested sizes every time. So that is all for this video. I really hope it was helpful for you guys on figuring out what the difference is between different yarn weight, as well as knowing what crochet hooks and knitting needles to use for them, and deciding on a yarn weight for a specific project. All of that, I hope it was helpful for. If you did enjoy this video and it was helpful, please do give it a big thumbs up. If you guys want to see more craft, crochet, or business videos from me, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the post notification bell. That way you know every single time I upload a brand new video. Make sure you check out the comment section down below so you can check out the question of the day for this video, because I always leave that in the comments below for you guys to reply to. If you do want to check out any of these yarns that I brought in as examples, as well as the article that I used for my information, then you can check out that in the description box, as well as if you want to see more videos of mine, my social medias, my blog, my podcast, and my Etsy shop. All of that is always included in the description box down below for you guys. And with all of that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!